Well, I've made it home for another tour. That's what I call it. Since the last time I left the house until I got home. This time I was only gone a week. I left the house Saturday a week ago, and then I got home Friday night. So I was gone exactly 7 days. It was exactly 1 week. And so I thought I would go over what I did for the week and how my week shaped up. So going back to the spreadsheet today. If you remember, or if you know me, you've probably done seen this video or similar ones to it. But up here at the top, I know a lot of you has asked for me to show how I make the video or how I create the spreadsheet. It's pretty simple. I mean, I skip down about 10 lines down here, and then on the column 1 or the column A, you got numbers across the top and then numbers down the side. I give myself some headroom, so I start around 10. I got the date, the load number. This column that's hidden right there is the name of the broker that I did the load for. That's the odometer where I picked up the load, the city and the state where I picked up, the odometer where I delivered, the city and state, how much the broker is paying on the load, how many miles the load is. Well, Google, this is the Google map. So basically if you took Los Angeles to Salt Lake City, it shows that it's 704 miles. You can Google it yourself and see. The broker paid $4 grand on it. That came to $5.68 a mile. And the deadhead takes the how many miles it was from where I picked up at to the previous load where I delivered at. So it tells me I was 21 miles deadhead. Then this column here is actual miles with the deadhead included. And this is the adjusted rate. So in other words, this load here paid $5.68 a mile, but with this 21 mile deadhead, it came to $5.71 a mile. And then these columns over here is just alternating between the weeks. And then this over here, this yellow column is what it paid for the month. That dark line in here breaks down the month. And you can see the previous month up here, how it's broken down here, the end of the month there. This month isn't finished, but we're leaving Tuesday night to go to Vegas. And so by the time we get back, and then I take a couple days off after we get back from Vegas, this month is probably finished because, yeah, we're coming back on the 29th or the 28th really. By the time I get home, it's going to be the 29th. I doubt I'm going to take anything on the 30th. So I went ahead and filled it out down here. But anyway, I'll show maybe another video of how I come up with these formulas and show people how, if you're not familiar with how to create formulas, this spreadsheet is so simple and basic to make. Anybody could do it. So if you remember, I left last week and went from Greensboro, Georgia up to Oswego, New York. And you can see right here, I picked up on the 9th of the 13th from Greensboro, Georgia, and that load paid $2,400. It was 994 miles up there. Came to 241, which was, I had a deadhead 109 miles to get it. With the deadhead, it came out to 217. And the next one over here was Hazleton, PA, so I had the deadhead 221 miles to get that load. That's the one where I made the video that I was complaining about the deadhead because I was stuck in Oswego and there was really nothing good. Even with the deadhead and going down to Hazleton, PA, that load was only paying $2.10 a mile. But by the time I added my 221 miles into it, it came out to like $1.54. Then I picked up a load in Mainville, Ohio, took it to Bartlett, Tennessee. That load paid $1,500. I got $3.04 loaded miles, but with my deadhead, it came out to $2.73. Then I went to Millington, Tennessee, to Clarksville, Tennessee. I got $1,000 on 196 miles, came to $5.10 a mile. That put me at, with my 10 mile deadhead, I had $204.55 a mile. And then I picked up a load Friday morning in Chattanooga, took it to Beach Island, which is like 8 miles here from the house. I got $12.50 on 275 paid miles with my deadhead. I came out to $2.69 a mile. And this column over here on the right, these last two columns over here, takes the it takes basically what I did for the week. If you double click it, you can see it calculates everything over here, the 1200, the 1500, the 1000, and the 1250. And it says I did $49.50 for the week, and that came out to $2.49. But that's not what I did on the turn, because the load that I picked up in Greensboro went to Oswego, and my week, the way this color works is anything that picks up from Monday to Sunday will be in a certain color. Then the next week will alternate. But because Greensboro picked up on a Saturday, that actually fell into the week before. So what did I do on the complete turn? So you can kind of click that up here at the top. If you come up here and you hit auto sum, and you can take that number here from Oswego here, bring it all the way down, hit enter. So for the week on the turnaround, I did $7,350. And then if you hit equals, you want to find out how many miles. So you take the ending odometer where I delivered in Beach Island, South Carolina, and you subtract that from the previous week up in Appling where I delivered that load, and you hit enter. So it says I did, well, let's change that to not a currency, but a general. So I did 3,120 miles. Now, how much did that break out to? If you hit equals again, you take how much I made, divide that by how many miles I drove completely, and hit enter. So I averaged $2.36 to the hub for the week on 3,120 miles. Nothing to brag about. I'm just barely maintaining. In fact, that's about 4 cents below my target rate of where I try to be at $2.40 a mile on all miles. Because, we get paid per trip. And a lot of times people will say, well, I just need a certain amount of money. I don't count it as per trip. I count it as all miles, so I know if I'm falling short. Because at $2.40 a mile, I'm making approximately what a company driver would make. And again, if you go up here to the top corner, you can see for the year now, I'm at 144,800. Might as well round that up to 800, 144,800. Total miles for the year now is 62,044. I haven't driven nowhere near the amount of miles I normally do. So if you take this number there, it's taken how many, my net earnings, dividing it by the total miles, and it comes out to $2.33 to the hub. So my truck this year is averaging $2.33, and the net to me right now is 61 cents. It's below where it needs to be at by about 9 cents, and that's usually my minimum. And if you come down here and look at last year, 2024, you can see I netted 63 cents. So last year was also a tough year. And if you come down to 2023, you can see I netted 86 cents. I did a whole lot better that year. And if you come down here to 2022, you can see that I averaged $1.29 to the hub. My cost of operation, it still was high. It was still $1.85, but I still cleared $1. But look at that. That was the year that everybody was making good money. I did $312,000, and I netted $128,000 out of that. My total miles was just under 100,000 miles, and my gross cents per mile was $3.14 to the hub. And that's all miles with the deadhead. Even that year, let's look at how many miles I had to deadhead. So if you come up here to this deadhead column and you hit auto sum, and you take everything in this column over here, hit enter, you can see I did 13,731 miles of deadhead that year. And every year it's, like I said, it's just what it is. I don't mind deadheading, but those are my numbers. Nothing I can do to change them. Oh, and another thing, I know some of you have asked, and they said, what kind of fuel mileage does your truck get? I read it in the comments where on that video I did about a month ago, it was talking about trucking is tough right now. And I had a little column broke out showing what I had done for that 2-week period from the time I left the house, because I had a lot of breakdowns. I had to go get my truck to the shop. I had a dozer valve that malfunctioned and I had to get it fixed. It was $2,000 for this, and my AC compressor went out. The AC compressor on the APU unit went out. The batteries in my truck needed to be changed, or one of them exploded and then it killed the rest of them. But I guess somebody had taken the little 2-week snapshot there and calculated that my truck was doing like 4.7 miles to the gallon or something like that. But yeah, since I've owned the truck, I do the same thing. I've got another column down here on the bottom called fuel of 33. So you can see down here, this is the date that I bought the fuel, the city, and how many odometers, and then how many gallons. I've got the gallons filled in everywhere. Now I've got some spaces in between here. Let's scroll on down here recently. You can see like right there, I didn't put the odometer in any of these. But over here to the side, if you double click that, what that's doing is it's taking the odometer where I filled up there to that odometer up there, and it's adding all of the fuel stops in between. And so it says I averaged $5.24. For example, this one right here is just taking this odometer, subtracting that odometer, and putting the number of fuel that I purchased on that stop. And so I averaged 623, 544, 608, 562. And up here at the top, if you take the whole lot of gallons, I have purchased 58,341 gallons. My total miles is 369,560, and I'm averaging 6.33 on paper on fuel mileage. And of course, that would also include running my APU at night and the idle, because that's just the number of gallons I put into the truck. So some of you were saying, oh, your fuel mileage is way, that's my fuel mileage right there, $6.33 miles per gallon. So anyway, that's about it. It wasn't, like I said, nothing to brag about this week. I mean, what did we do? Come back down here and look at it. Yeah, it was $2.46 to the hub, or $2.15, including that one I did to Oswego. But yeah, I did for the week of itself from Hazleton, PA to South Carolina. It was $2.46. And this is for the month. The $2.15 is what the whole month is. So that's taking everything from this black line all the way down to here. And it came to $2.15 to the month to the hub. And another reason that was also high is because you look at the end of the month before, I ended up in Chattanooga, and then I deadheaded from Chattanooga all the way to my house, which was 359 miles. Then the next load that I picked up, which was in Beach Island, that was a little crappy Amazon load. I had been home and I was working on the trailer, and I said, you know what, I ain't got nothing to do today. There was a load, they had $200, $198 to pick a load up in Beach Island at the Kimberly-Clark plant and take it back to the Amazon facility. And it's what it was. It was 28 miles over there. And then, like I said, then I deadheaded back from there back to the house. So it's just $200, and it takes what? It's 8 miles to Kimberly-Clark, and then 28 miles is what it is from Kimberly-Clark to the Amazon facility. And then from the Amazon facility back to my house is probably about 25 miles. So it's roughly about 55 miles from my house to Kimberly-Clark to Appling, and then Appling back to my house. There's nothing great to write about when you do those little loads like that, but it's something. I was spending money for 3 weeks on brakes and drums and slack adjusters and all that crap, and so I was waiting on parts to come in. I kept ordering parts, and they was coming in. They came in wrong. Like I said, I ordered 2 slack adjusters, and I ordered 2 of the same one, and they sent one right and the other one wrong. I don't know what the heck happened. And I bought that thing on eBay. They were $110 a piece. I've been trying to get in touch with eBay now for a week, and I emailed them and said I want to do a return. They said, okay, well, send us the then about 2 days later, I get a link. They said, go to this link. I'll show you what I'm getting right here. Let me show you. So basically, it's like this right here. You come up here to my email. So right here is my eBay link. So it says, see return details. It says, we've received your return request for the Halidex slack adjusters. And you click it, and then it brings up here, something went wrong. I don't know, probably going to have to eat that $109 and buy another slack adjuster because they didn't send the right one. The company sent two. I don't know, maybe they had a bin with a bunch of slack adjusters in it and there was one wrong because they was in this little blue bag. Each one was in its own little bag, and they just threw two bags in the box. They probably just assumed, I don't know what happened. I'm assuming that the wrong slack adjuster was in the bin and the person that was pulling the order just went in there and grabbed two and threw them in the box and taped it up and shipped it to me. And now I can't get the thing returned, which is why I don't like eBay. But anyway, I guess that's about it for today. I hope everybody had a good week, and we'll talk to you guys later.